Hi guys, welcome to the Ven Pod. This is going to be episode 3 where we talk about practicing professionalism. I'm Alex and this is my co-host Hannah V. Weller.
Oh my goodness. Hannah V. Weller?
Hannah V. Weller.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, Hannah W. Weller, professionalism.
That is how you practice professionalism. End of podcast.
Well, you go by Hannah W. Weller because you searched and there was someone named Hannah Weller, no?
Well, my middle name is actually Nicole Alex, so I go by Hannah N. Weller.
Oh!
But I do use my middle initial just because I feel like it gives me another level of professionalism. Like, I don't know. It's just another way that I kind of feel like an adult, even though I'm a very new adult.
In conclusion, Alex doesn't know Hannah's middle name. But
that's okay.
She just learned it with you guys, so.
Now you all know my middle name. Now they know all my passwords to everything.
Wait, what?
Anyways, let's keep talking about practicing professionalism. Why did we choose the topic of practicing professionalism? Like, why was that something we felt we needed to address?
I think there's like several aspects to professionalism that we were talking about when brainstorming. And initially I thought it was kind of like breaking down the stigmas of being a music major or a musician in general. But ultimately it's just practicing professionalism and understanding that some things aren't necessarily what they seem. Like you could approach things differently even though people may say otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I feel like it's really easy to lose sight, especially we're approaching this from like a person embarking on their undergraduate journey. This is like more of an episode for people who are starting their career as a music major, which is really exciting. Congratulations to you. But I think it's really easy, especially at that level, to lose sight of why you're getting your undergraduate degree in music. And ultimately, at the end of those 4 years, you want to be in a place where you are either moving on to get more education or you are a marketable professional in the field. And that requires a lot of attention to multiple facets of your life, like we were talking about when we were brainstorming. To be a truly marketable professional, you have to be able to do it all these days. They want a person who is well-rounded, who clearly takes care of all aspects of their life, not only their craft for what they're being hired for, but they want a person that they can work with easily, that's going to work well with others. So just in talking through different things that can look like in an undergraduate degree, that's why we got to the topic of practicing professionalism, what that looks like in all aspects of your life.
Yeah, and I think you'll see from this episode that we're kind of branching off into different areas of it. It's not just like build a website, do like business card. No,
Yeah.
We're talking about being a well-rounded individual and musician. And ultimately, we believe that starts as you're pursuing a professional degree, like an undergrad degree, a master's degree, a doctorate degree. At that point, you should have started already.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you haven't, never feel like it's too late.
Yeah.
Today is the day to start it. That's all you need to do. And let's get right into it.
Absolutely.
So we have a few topics written, and let's start with the first one. You don't have to practice 4 hours a day.
That is true. You don't have to practice 4 hours a day to be a professional or to be prepared to be a professional in your undergraduate degree.
And it's crazy because I had a situation where someone I looked up to at that point was very adamant. They're like, you're getting your undergrad degree in performance, you should be practicing 4 hours a day. And this was all in the basket of me wanting to become a double major. Like in the midst of me wanting to become a double major, they were so adamant that I would have no time to do anything in my life because I have 4 hours a day that I have to practice, that I should not become a double major. I will say here and right now, becoming a double major has been the best decision of my life, because if I was not a double major, my undergrad degree would actually mean nothing if I didn't get a master's, because I got a BA in music. I switched from performance because they were like, oh, to do this, you need to be this. To do that, you need to be that. And I said, okay, I'll do a BA in music. And they were not happy. Speaking in general, because I don't want to say who it was, but literally they were just like, yeah, you can't do that. I said, well, sign the paper. And here I am.
Here she is.
And I did it.
One smart lady. She
and I did it.
Like a beast, and she's super smart.
But in the topic of you don't have to practice 4 hours a day, you don't. Meaning you have time. What's the saying? Why don't you have to practice 4 hours a day?
It is quality over quantity. And I will say that, I will preach that all day long. I will speak as a music education major, so I did not double major. I feel like I double majored.
Yo,
like,
you basically did.
I had a ton of work to do all the time. But when I was student teaching this past semester, do you think I had 4 hours a day to spend on my instrument while I was doing graduate auditions every weekend?
No.
No. I was lucky if I got an hour and a half to myself. Like, that was an amazing day. That's like the most I got a day when I was student teaching, like during the week. So like, I would say it's more of a mindset. And that's the whole thing. Like, being a professional, practicing professionalism is a mindset.
And how do you do that? It ties into one of our next topics, scheduling.
Absolutely. That's
effective scheduling and like putting together a calendar, saying that you'll practice at this hour and then go to student teach and then practice at that hour and then get stuff done, or any order, like any version of that. But it's setting something in stone that this is going to happen at this time, that's going to happen at that time, because without that schedule, you're just kind of like freestyling your day, and ultimately things might happen, but there's a high chance things may not happen.
Absolutely.
So just make a schedule.
And how do you do that? I know we both are schedule people, we know when we're gonna do certain things, but how can someone do that in a way that's gonna make them successful? I'm sorry, that's fine. Bloopers. Hey, we should probably mention that we're at ICA Clarinet Fest right now, which is why the Ben Pod's in person.
And that's why people just walked in, but we have the room reserved.
Anyways, we're all good. Anyways, how should somebody go about that? Should they adopt, say, your schedule? Should they, try and do somebody else's schedule?
No,
what's a good way to
a schedule is personal to you, and ultimately you're in school first, right? Being a music major is difficult, and we're speaking mostly for music majors, because you have student teaching, well, that's senior year, so let's scrap that for a second.
Yeah.
You have classes, and we went to liberal arts, so gen eds and music.
Yeah.
And then you also have rehearsals, and then you also have to practice. So on top of that, you have homework for those gen eds. And it's kind of like, okay, how do I schedule around this? Well, that's a schedule in itself. Those classes, those rehearsals, and fix your practice times around that.
Absolutely.
When you have homework, your homework takes priority, honestly speaking, because when your homework is done, all that extra time is for you to practice. If you practice and get in the zone, because this does happen, and you may practice for 4 hours, you'll lose track of time, and now you have no time to do your homework. Are you going to fail all of your other classes just to accomplish one thing, which was practicing? You're not going to graduate if you don't finish your homework, because you're going to fail classes. Yeah. So ultimately, homework is a priority alongside practice, and they're all equal.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Especially in the first semester, going into your music degree as a freshman, it's really important that you dig into those gen eds, into those entry level classes. Theory, that's a real thing that's important. I know it can seem like you're not really going to use it, or it's just theoretical, but that's real. That informs your music making. Sight singing, ear training, that's real. You need to be good at that.
As much as I hate it, it's true.
It's true, it's real. And so I would say that it's important to really mentally engage. And one way that I kind of helped buy myself more practice time was that when I was in class for those classes, I was 100% mentally there. I did not let my brain wander. I was this is so important right now. And that allowed me to get my homework done a lot faster, and that also allowed me to have more practice time. I will say that something that I would advise younger people is that I do agree with Alex that homework is definitely a priority. You need to have good grades, or else your degree is going to mean nothing. But if it comes down to it, I always say that these skills will last far beyond my grades. Once you graduate, your transcript is important to get you to the next step, but these skills are also really, really important. So do not neglect either one, but I would say just really be very intentional with when you practice, with how you practice, because your musical skills will carry far beyond your academic skills. I guess I would just encourage you not to be so tripped up and so concerned about academics that it steals from your practice.
Right, it's a balancing act, because both are important, and that's what I should emphasize. Both are very important, so you shouldn't give effort to one to help the other. They are equal.
Absolutely.
Honestly, they're equal. Practicing is up there, but at the same time, homework is up there, because without the grades, you're not going to graduate.
No.
And without practicing, you're not going to excel in your craft. So they both hold some heaviness to them.
And don't be a super senior, because then you're going to be broke and have bad grades. You'll have more practice time though. Anyways, so Besides scheduling, what's something else that you can do to practice professionalism?
Well,
Like,
on
what's
top of
something
that,
else?
speaking of schedules, now it gets a little bit trickier because one thing we talked about was making connections, and not just connections in the music department, but also outside of it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start or kick that off?
Absolutely. Alex was really good at making connections outside. No, I'm serious. Outside of the music department at Messiah.
But it's not even connections. I think for me, and this kind of ties into our other pod, episode 2, plug. But it's kind of like have a social life that doesn't involve music.
Yes.
Like I can say very confidently that I do not have the greatest number of music friends, but I do have the greatest number of non-music friends. The ones that I do have in music are meaningful and it's growing, but most of my my friendships are honestly non-majors. And when you think about it, people think connections, I'm gonna need this person, that person. Well, won't you meet the next medical student? Aren't they gonna be your next doctor? Or the next law student? They're gonna be your next lawyer. It's like, those are connections too if you think about it. And it also makes you more well-rounded and less dependent on music when things like burnout happen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we were talking about this earlier, but like when you think about going to a symphony, obviously the people on stage are musicians, but think about the audience. Like you're gonna have some musicians in the audience, but the vast majority of those people are not musicians by trade. And so it's really important not to lose sight of like why we make music in the first place. It's like to inspire beauty in all people, to like provide meaning to all people. And so to try not to keep your pool so small that you're only receiving like input from music people, because as we've seen at Clarinet Fest, the world of music is really, really small.
Oh my gosh.
And as you start like sectioning it off, like the clarinet world is really, really small, like so small. And you know, while that's really nice to have those close-knit communities that you can like share your professional lives with, there's more out there, right? Like you're a person first. You're a person who happens to be a musician, so don't let the musician side of you like nom away the person side of you, because that's not gonna make you a dynamic professional. A dynamic professional is somebody who can have a proper work-life balance, who can, you know, be fully devoted to their craft, but also can say, you know what, right now I need to take a step back. And that choice right there is gonna make their craft so much more meaningful. It's gonna give you the juice to do what it is you need to do.
And what I'm about to say is gonna sound so crazy, but here it goes. You could schedule your social activities.
I did.
Like, honestly speaking, for majority of my undergrad, I have a group of friends that I'm very tight with, and every Friday or Saturday, either one or both, we hung out and just watched movies in the evenings. Now you're wondering, wait, you didn't practice for 2 days? No, I did. I scheduled practice times earlier in the day, in the mornings, in the early afternoon before wind ensembles and other rehearsals. But I scheduled designated time for me to socialize and relax with non-musicians. Because ultimately, I think that's what never led me to a burnout in undergrad. Like I consistently had a getaway. And like, I don't want to describe it as a getaway, but I feel like in our experience, like the culture in our school was very like, I'm gonna hang out with you in the music department, I'm gonna eat lunch with you, I'm gonna eat dinner with you, and then when we go out off campus, I'm gonna hang out with you. And it's like,
It's
okay,
very cliquey that way.
so what happens if you end up falling out with those people? Now what? What connections did you make actually?
You're only losing that professional connection, but like you're losing a friendship, which is like really hard.
Exactly. So it's like sometimes that void, how do you fill it?
Yeah. You can't really, like that's a hard loss. Like speaking from personal experience, I was less good at getting outside of the music department. Like most of my friends, boo for Anna. Boo. No, I mean, most of my friends were musicians, and while I have a lot of really great friends from my undergrad, there were times when it got really tricky, like our personal things getting in the way of our professional things, which just, that should not be a thing. A professional doesn't let that happen. Yeah. And so it's really important, I would advise my younger self to get out there and make friends outside of the music department. Plus, I mean, this isn't the case for all schools, but I think it happens a little bit everywhere. The music department can be a cliquey, very competitive place.
It's because you hang out there, you practice there, and then
there's that constant comparison, like you're like, oh, you're my studio mate, so I'm either like better than you or worse than you. That's not a good mindset to have, but I think we all think it at some point in our lives, and you know, it's not healthy to be around that.
And then what does that cause? Drama.
And
then when that happens,
don't let that happen.
They don't let that happen. If there's drama, because there will be drama,
You
walk
look
away.
You get out of there.
Get out.
Do not.
If you're not in it, it's not your business. So.
And if you are in it, get out of it quick.
Oh yeah, get out of it and calm that down real fast.
Yes.
Because this is going to tie into our next topic where it talks about social life, and I think maybe our last topic. We're like on a roll today, guys.
Look at us.
We're also on a timer,
We
so
also
maybe
have
that's
this
why.
room for 30 minutes.
Like
so
7 more
just
minutes, but that's okay. Anyways, but it's kind of like that thing where, okay, you have these music connections and it's been ingrained in our brains, and this is a topic I'm very passionate about. It's like it's been ingrained in you that, okay, make connections, like all these people around you matter, like you don't need to burn any bridges. Well, you don't need to be friends with everybody either. There's a way to do it. There's honestly a way to do it. Like you could be very civil and very respectful of a person, but you could literally just not have to hang out with them 24/7. You do not have to be someone's friend in order for you to be nice to them. And I think that's such a weird misconception that people have in the music departments, where it's like, if you're not my friend, then you hate me. No. It's just like I have a certain preference for friends and friendship, because that's a big thing. It's like when that's missing, now I have a void. And it's like I take that very seriously, and when it comes to building connections, you build a connection with everybody, but you don't have to build a friendship with everybody.
Exactly. Like professionalism does not equal friendship. It can. Like Alex and I are a really good example of that. Like we work together professionally. We also happen to be friends.
Yes.
I was one of Alex's rare music friends. Oh my goodness. Like the one. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe like the second one.
The second one ever.
Maybe the first. I think I walked out of there with like one actual music friend.
It was me.
It was Hannah.
No, but professionalism does not equal friendship. It does not have to be that way. And I think going into the mindset of building connections with, oh, I have to be friends with this person so I can leverage what opportunities they might have or what opportunities they might give me, that is not a healthy way
That's
to
called
go about
using
stuff.
people.
Yeah, and that makes you not a true friend and also not a professional. Like professionals don't seek after other professionals to tear them down or to leech off of their resources.
Exactly.
Like, we build each other up in the professional
We were
community.
friends first.
Absolutely.
Well, colleagues first, and from there built a friendship.
We were colleagues first.
Yeah.
I can remember our band director said, Hannah, you have to go find Alex because this part needs to be ready for rehearsal. And I was like, I don't know Alex. And I looked at all the practice rooms and I found her and we worked it out. That was our first interaction, was a rehearsal
Honestly.
together.
And I think like this whole misconception, it's like, it can look like you're using people so easily the way you broke it down, and it's kind of like, do you really want to look like you're using people for the resources they could give you? Yes, getting a resource from someone is great, but how do you get that resource? Is by building meaningful connections. It's like just consistently, or not consistently, maybe just periodically chatting with someone. Like, is that a friend? Is that a friend? No, it's a connection.
Yeah.
It's being civil and respectful and just appreciative of what that person could possibly give you, but don't expect it to happen.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
No, that's exactly how I feel about it too. And it's funny because word gets around. Like at this conference, like, I mean, even Alex and I, like, you know, I'll tell her something that she doesn't know, or she'll tell me
And vice
something that
versa.
I don't know. But like, word gets around. When you are a good professional, when you are ethical, when you are courteous, when
Things
you are
come to you.
gracious, things come to you. People will say, oh, yeah, I went to undergrad with her. No, we weren't super close, but she was always professional.
Mhm.
She was always courteous. She was always, you know, just there to put her best foot forward.
And like the weirdest things might happen where someone may come to you. This happened. Someone came to me about a friend of mine that I actually had a connection with and friendship with. And they just asked me about them like in general terms, and I was like, oh yeah, they're a great performer or whatever. And then turns out it was for a job, and they said, oh, this is for a job. I want to know their personality.
Like their
Like how are
character.
they as a person?
Yeah.
And like as a musician, you need to think about that, because your talent is available online.
Mhm.
Your personality is not. So that's what they ask other people for. And that professionalism, building connections in the right way, not using people and
Yeah.
presenting yourself as such, gets you that good reference when you don't even know what's happening. That's the crazy part. This was someone I met for a week asking me about someone I've known for 3 years about a job.
But the way you presented yourself probably let them know that
They
you
knew
were
that.
somebody that they could trust.
Right.
You were there to be professional.
No, honestly, and that's what I tell people all the time. Like, people come to me because they know I give them an honest perspective of a person,
Yeah.
like their character, because to me that means so much more than the talent you have as a musician.
Absolutely.
Because the talent gets you far, but the character gets you further.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So those are like the big heavy hitters that we have in mind that we would want to pass on to somebody pursuing their music degree as a freshman. Just don't lose sight of that and try every day to ask yourself, am I practicing professionalism in the way that I treat my colleagues, in the way that I build relationships, in the way that I am practicing and running my own life? Is there anything else that you want to add, like maybe like day-to-day things, like tiny ways that you can practice professionalism, like practical applications?
I don't have any in mind right now, but this is honestly like the start to a series, because I think there's so much more, and like you guys could tell us if you have any more ideas. But I think this was like a really good pod, like quick, short. Sorry it was short. We're like on a timer. We have 2 minutes left in this room, and I know people are waiting outside.
We've had a pretty busy day.
Yeah.
But big news, the podcast will have passed and our performance will have been done by the time you all see this, but Ben Duo is making its live premiere tomorrow, July 3rd, here at ICA Clarinet Fest. We're playing Mark Mellett's Tachycardia, which you might have seen online. We've done that as a virtual collab, but this time it is in person, in the flesh, sweat, red faces and all.
And green shirts.
And green shirts.
Green shirts,
The
black
outfits
blazers.
are so good.
We'll be matching.
I was about to say as per usual, but we never really match. So we'll be matching for the first time, and we're really excited. So I guess we just need to thank you guys for all of your support. We've seen a bunch of you at the conference, and we love that you have come and said hello. It's really good to
They see us
meet
together.
people.
They see us together, and they're like, "That's Van Duo." Or like people are like, "Oh yeah, I've seen Hannah through Alex and y'all's videos."
Right, like Alex's ASU family are like, "Oh my gosh, it's really Hannah." I'm like, "Wow, hi guys, good to meet you."
I'm like, "That's Hannah." Okay, bye.
We also got to do this on camera today.
Hopefully this will be out soon. But
Yeah,
we did
hopefully you'll know
we did a
why.
surprise, so we're excited for that.
More coming later.
But thank you guys so much for watching. This was episode 3 of the Ben Pod, and tune back for more pods.
Like episode 4.
Like episode 4 that we don't know yet, but will happen.
All right, bye guys.
Hey guys, welcome back.